We are seeing a big play going on about joining the dots. And it's about joining the dots in terms of the supply of inventory, joining the dots in terms of aggregation of audiences, joining the dots between linear and non-linear delivery, joining the dots between web video and other forms of video, and people then trying to overlay that with different kinds of identifiers that are identity-based, place-based, behavior-based, and purchase-based. So right now we have tons and tons and tons of potential, but tons and tons of works in progress. And when you look at all of the major players, everyone from Amazon Fire TV through to Xandr, through to the new world of Disney, and of course Google and Facebook, everyone has got a different place in this. So the key for buyers is to stay adaptive and agile. The key for buyers is not to build their own technologies, but to work out how to integrate the platforms they can use, and to work out how they can bring their own sources of client data and bring those to each of the platforms, and then look at cross-platform planning and cross-platform attribution. And the good news is, having spent my life in agencies, almost my whole life in agencies, is that there's never been a time when it's more important to have people that can join the dots between the complex and very, very different offers of these major players. So with Xandr, we see an enormous kind of corner of the world. But that's what it is. It's a corner of the world. It's a corner of content consumption, it's a corner of distribution, and it's a corner of data. But there are many others to join up as well. And clearly the advertiser needs to take the broadest possible view, but then apply his assets, which are his brand, his relationship with consumers, and his data with consumers, across all of those corners to get to an outcome.
What about the whole notion of advertising-supported television in the face of SVOD and consumer preference and the 22 minutes? And what would your message be to the programmers, the cable companies and the networks?
Well, we found out today, I guess, that there will be a new Peacock in town in the spring of next year when NBC Universal launches its new streaming service. And we know that the model that Steve Burke and his team are pursuing there is, broadly speaking, an advertising supported model and an extension of what they do in television now. So they're making a big bet that with the right kind of advertising integrations within the content, the consumer is going to have a user experience where the price value trade-off is going to work. So we don't know if that's going to work or not, but here's what we do know. What we do know is that economically active and young audiences are increasingly not buying the content to advertising ratio in linear TV, with the possible exception of sports. And what we also know, or we think we know, is that there will be subscription fatigue and confusion with a gazillion SVOD channels. So we'll have a mixed economy, but it's quite clear that those people that create the right bargain with consumers about the relationship between advertising and content will do quite well. And the people that don't and insist on a heavy ad load and average content won't do well. And that if you're going to have a subscription-only service, you have to be fabulously confident you have a product that's worth paying for, and that not only it's worth paying for in its own right, but a product that's worth paying for amongst a host of others. So when there was only HBO, that was easy. When it was HBO and/or Showtime, it was a bit less easy. When it was HBO and/or Showtime and/or Stars, it's a bit less easier then. And when it was HBO or Showtime or Stars or Netflix and/or Amazon and/or Hulu and/or Disney Plus and/or, it's going to be complicated for the consumer, because one assumes the consumer doesn't have an unlimited amount of funds to pay. Although I would say this, When consumers in the round think of everything in the world they might spend $10 a day on, which is many things, that's 2 Starbucks coffees, you can actually buy every streaming service available for sale in the whole country for $10 a day. And so content is still unbelievably good value for money.